It has been a fantastic year for those in the home gym community. We've had a ton of releases, and two of the most important, most significant, the ones that I think matter a lot for home gym owners is the Rep Aries 2.0 as well as the Rugue FM racks. Today, I'm gonna compare the two of them for those of you that are shopping. This is a big expense. You're basically deciding on an ecosystem, a very heavy ecosystem, one that truly, if you buy it, you're probably gonna have it a really long time. So I wanna help you decide based on everything that's out there. Let's get into it. Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. If you're new here, I review gym equipment, a lot of it, and I absolutely love it. If you'd like to see some of that and join our great home gym community, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you'd like to purchase any of these racks or anything that we recommend, we'll put a link to the like button. The companies do pay us a small commission, but it doesn't really affect what I say, especially when I'm comparing two products. And I will say from the front, I like both of these. They are really cool designs. There are differences and things that you should look at of why you should get one or the other. Honestly, a lot of it comes down to your specific training. So first I'm gonna start with the base squat rack, because if you get one of these, they're building these as ecosystems. You basically have to have their squat racks. Now you can buy their squat racks with the unit, or you can already have the squat rack and upgrade over time. I love that they're doing that, but they're creating these so that they have competing and unique ecosystems. If you're gonna go with Rugue is classic. I mean, this is just through the product all the way from soup to nuts, it is overbuilt. It's made in the USA. I'm pretty sure on the product page, it's all made in the USA except for Pulley's. If you are a made in the USA stan, I mean, Rugue is the obvious option. Now, Rugue is using a true 3x3. That is something we have to say today because everybody says 3x3, but it's not always a true Imperial 3" by 3" upright. But Rugue is, they're using a true 3x3 upright, made in the USA, used with US source steel. So Rugue is offering this for basically their 1" hole pattern, as well as the 5" hole pattern, the Monster and Monster Light series. Rep is offering this for the same, their 5000, PR 5000, and PR 4000 series, which is both the same. So the uprights are pretty similar. Rugue is offering 15 color options. They powder coat them in-house. I will say just generally, Rugue's powder coat is better than Rep's. It's just a very even powder coat. The colors are awesome, and you just have a ton of options to choose from. Two other things that are different between them and Rep is Rugue is offering a keyhole design on the side of the uprights. The keyhole design I actually have on my uprights. It's a cool idea in theory. In reality, it just doesn't get used that much. They're not making a ton of attachments that really use that keyhole design. I hope they do over time. I would prefer to have the keyhole, but honestly, it's not like a reason to buy that rack. Also, Rugue's racks are 49" width outside to outside. Rep's are 47". Personally, I would prefer a 47" outside to outside. It's just better for racking and unracking the bar. But the 49" of the Rugue rack with the pulleys that sit outside does allow for a wider cable use if that's something you want. What you'll find is a lot of the stuff that's different between these is more a preference rather than like one being more optimal than the other. It just depends on how you use it. But if it was me, I would prefer the 47" outside to outside. I say that, in my Rugue in my home gym, which I have no problem using, is a 49" width rack. Okay, so rack out of the way. Honestly, I wouldn't choose either one of these based upon the uprights. They're so similar. Rep's are a 75 by 75 millimeter upright, so they're a little bit smaller. You can tell why Rugue's is a bit more expensive. Generally, is they're just using a lot heavier steel and more steel. So if you're like just into the overbuilt thing, like honestly, you'll see through a lot of this. Rugue is that one, but that doesn't mean it's better necessarily. Then to the functional trainer. So Rugue actually has 3 versions, I would say, of this new FM series. They have the plate loaded version, they have the single stack version, and then they have the twin stack version. All of them use unique functionality and pulley ratios, which is pretty cool. Like the engineer side of me loves all the pulley stuff that's happening. So I'll talk a little bit about each of those. The biggest difference is obviously plate loaded versus stack, single stack versus dual stack. The functional trainer aspect of these are all using a 2-to-1 ratio. The thing is, on the single stack or the plate loaded, you basically load up the single plate and then you use the ones off the front. The thing to recognize is you're gonna have less cable travel on those than you would on, say, the twin stack or the Rep Aries, because the Rep Aries 2.0 is using individual stacks. I think like from a budget standpoint and kind of just coolness factor, the single stack Rugue is pretty darn cool. If I was going to buy one personally though, I'd probably buy the twin stack if I was looking for that functionality. But I will say the plate loaded version is pretty sick because they're also gonna offer a Rhino drop-in version, which is like, that's what I use in my rack. I love the Rhino. I use the Rhino all the time. So be able to have that with a functional trainer is pretty darn cool. But like if I could have everything, I would have the twin stack with a plate loaded functional trainer drop-in Rhino. That would be everything. Now, Rep on their functional trainer is using 2 stacks, and they're 2 heavy stacks. They're 260-pound standard. They have the option to add 50-pound upgrade kit. If you think that someday you're gonna be Hulk, yet you never will be Hulk, but you never wanna be limited on your Hulkness, that may be an option for you. It's not very expensive to add it up, and I just foresee a lot of people adding that because it's like, it's just cooler. How much weight do you have on there? I have more than you. You know, you want that sort of thing. That's kind of the option. It goes up to 310 pounds. Here's another difference. So on the weight stacks specifically, Rep is offering a 2-to-1 ratio on the functional trainers and on the lat pull down and low row. The way that you make the lat pull down and low row kind of a 1-to-1 is you banana clip them together. Rugue is basically doing that for you with Pulley magic, so you have a single point of access. This is really, I think, one of the biggest differences between the two. And it's very clear that Rugue thinks theirs is superior because of the single point and not having the banana clip carabiner thing. I'll say it depends on the type of training you're doing. One of the benefits actually to Rep's design is you can do unilateral and bilateral training. So they're very coveted cable machines out there that use 2 pulleys so that you can do, say, alternating rows and things like that. For my training personally, I like a single pulley. It also decreases the length from the carabiner to the floor. So if you're using extra attachments, cable attachments, say like the prime rotate handles that hang really low, you're just losing space there too. Personally, I like the single of the Rugue. I like the single on the bottom of the Rugue, but I can see why a lot of people would like the individual separate pulleys. It has its advantages too. Just depends on your type of training. So if you like that ability, I think it's awesome, but just my opinion. Now, one of the biggest disadvantages to Aris 1.0 that they fixed on the 2.0 was the pulley height, but also the fact that the pulley was so low and you had to banana clip them together. It was not good. In fact, it was so bad that you had people coming out with mods on Etsy. This guy, Anderson Welding, came up with this thing that basically used the lat pull down function so you could use that as a single point. They've seemed to have fixed that. When I was in FIBO, I was able to use the Aris 2.0 and it is improved a lot. The other thing that they're offering is they're offering a dock in the low row plate for you to dock the legs of, say, a Blackwing bench, which you then use on the decline feature, and then you can do low rows on that. Personally, a lot of time I'd probably just use the ground because I think it would still feel kind of a little bit awkward. But for those of you that don't like doing low rows on the ground because you're just so special, you're gonna prefer the Rep Aries because that one you can add a bench. To the low row on the Rugue one, you just may get some chafing on your butt from doing it on the ground because you have to. Personally, I don't really care. I have no problem being on the ground. With all my kids puke and spit and throw up and chicken crap. Literally, I had chickens in my garage and they pooped everywhere, all over my floors. Gotta get those eggs up. Now, as far as weight for Rugue on the lat pull down and functional trainers and all that, they're single stack. They have plate loaded, but they also offer a 250-pound single stack and an upgraded 300-pound stack. On these twins, they're offering 2 300-pound stacks. As far as like weight and ability to have a lot of weight, there's not a big difference between the Rep and Rugue. You're gonna be able to have as much weight as you'd ever want. Now to the trolleys. So Rep has really improved their trolleys overall from the 1.0. Basically the exit points for all the cables are swivel, which means the top ones are swivel, the bottom ones are swivel. It's nice because you can swivel around to do different movements. Also nice because it makes it easier to connect them together. It's also, I think, a foreshadowing, basically where they put those for some of the attachments I think they'll add to benches in the future. When I was out there, one of the things I told Rep that they really need to work on, and it's not like a secret, I've been telling companies this for years, is come up with an integrated bench ecosystem that works with your cable functional trainer type racks. I would love that. We've seen that now with Force USA with the C10 bench. We've seen it, Ironmaster kind of has that. Inspire kind of had that. I think we're gonna see more and more of that come to fruition. And I think that's one of the things that Rep is planning for with their Aries 2.0. Now, I did, on that same note, Rugue used to have on their fact page, I'm not sure if it's still there, that they were working on a leg extension, leg curl attachment for their FM series racks. So, I mean, as far as like the future, like growth of the ecosystem, I expect both of them to be adding stuff. I will say historically though, just being honest, sometimes Rugue is slow to the punch. Generally, if Rugue comes out with something, they're not coming out with a lot of 2.0s. They're like a big green egg. They come out with one, that's what they're coming out with. Whereas I would say Rep is more like Kamado Joe, where they're coming out with new iterations. I really like smoked meats, by the way. So. Now, the trolleys on Rugue and Rep kind of reflect their design ethos. Rugue's is overbuilt. It's got tons of rollers. It looks incredible. So American muscle car. It's just unapologetically strong. Rep, on the other hand, is strong. I don't think you're looking for more strength, but it's lighter and moves easier. So Rugue, they're using basically the components from their LT1 50 cal trolley 2.0. So it's got multiple pop pins, knurled handles, rollers. It's gonna be really smooth. It's just gonna be freaking sick. But it's also gonna be heavy. And you're also gonna have to use two hands. Whereas Rep, they're using something that's light enough and is using this special plastic that moves smoothly. You have to decide which one you like. Do you like Overbuilt? Go with Rugue. Do you want something that you can use with one hand, a little bit lighter? Go with Rep. Personally, I like more of the lighter, easier to use, easier to move. I don't want to do a workout for setting up my equipment. I want to do a workout for my workout. Both of them, they're sitting the pulleys on the outside of the upright, so you got a lot of stretch, you got a lot of width. They're just doing things similarly in that regard. And they're using aluminum pulleys all throughout. Both of them have the option for aluminum pulleys all throughout. Rep, it's standard. Rugue, it's an add-on, so if you want to save some money, you can get polymer. I just don't foresee a lot of people getting polymer. You want the aluminum pulleys, trust me. Now, one of the things to call out on the actual trolleys that may take more time with Reps, because you can adjust the trolley up and down on the upright using one hand, but if you want to secure it, they recommend using a hitch pin. That's more of a two-handed operation. One here, one here. Whereas Rugue's, they're not offering a secondary hitch pin. They have two pins that use your fingers on basically this trolley. It's freaking sick. So you have to use two hands. I know Rep says theirs is one hand, but they still recommend putting the hitch pin, which is another hand. So I think it evens out. Now, one other thing on the trolleys is basically how they're routing the cables. Rugue is routing the cables on the front of the upright from the top, which means if you're gonna use their jammer arms, you're basically gonna have to leave them at the bottom of the upright and have that arm always sticking out if you want to not have to mess with a ton of stuff when you're adjusting the functional trainer. Rep, on the other hand, and I feel like this is building up for the future ecosystem, a future lever arm that they may wanna release, they basically allow it so you can have a lever arm at the top and then you lift up the arms and leave them up, and then you have the functional trainer down below so you can move those freely as much as you want. Basically, like, you're gonna have some trade-offs either way if you're using jammer arms with cables off the front. I will say personally, because I am actually getting a lot of use out of jammer arms lately with all the new functionality, personally, I would prefer Reps that have the cables come from below. But we'll see what Rugue comes out in the future. I could see them overhauling their lever arms and making them compatible with the system, which would be cool. But Reps, it seems like they're gonna come out standard kind of that way. And also the other reason they did that was for basement racks. It allows you to have more space to use if you have a shorter 80-inch rack, which is pretty smart. Rep, you know, basically caring about the people that live underground. Feel bad for those people. That includes you, basement brand. Two more points. One is dimensions. The dimensions of the Rep Aries 2.0 are superior. They are. The fact that they keep them so slim with the rack, you can literally put the rack all the way up against the wall. It fits so slim, it's awesome. They reoriented the stacks so they're facing perpendicular. It's kind of perpendicular, parallel to other stuff. I don't know. Basically, they oriented them in a different direction. East-west instead of north-south, which is superior for the slimness of the rack. It's awesome. Rugue's depends on the rack you're getting. The Rugue plate-loaded version takes up a ton of space off the back because you have to also keep space for the plates. Basically, it's what the Rugue Rhino is. And I think they basically did that so you can have a drop-in Rhino. It's just one of the downsides to that. But personally, I would rather have the Rhino because of all the functionality that has it, so I don't care about the depth. The single stack takes up more space than the Aries, but less space than the plate-loaded version. And then the twin stack only takes up a little bit of extra space off the back, but still more space than the Aries 2.0. So when it comes to like slimness and compactness, if you're somebody that just needs as much space in your gym as possible and inches, literal inches, matter to you, then the Aries 2.0 is definitely superior because it is the slimmest. Now to price. Basically, I built out, if you were gonna get a Rugue FM6 in a single stack version or a twin stack version, I got pricing, and I got basically the same options from Rep. If you were gonna go with a 6-post rack, 30-inch depth, the 93-inch uprights for Rep, 90-inch uprights for Rugue, because that's what they offer, although Rugue offers a taller one too. If you went with red powder coat, aluminum pulleys, if you went with the same basically J-Cup options, basically all the same stuff, this is the pricing. For the single stack, including shipping, to me in the beautiful, absolutely incredible Midwest. Don't come here if I don't like you. If I do like you, you can come here. I'm the purveyor of the Midwest, all of it. $5,054.91, including shipping for the single stack with the maxed out weight, with the heaviest stack. If you want the twin stack, honestly, it's only about 200 bucks more. So $5,263, 36 cents. All include shipping. They're actually offering free shipping on that rack. You just gotta pay tax. Rep Aries 2.0 with similar functions with the heavier weight stack. I want to try to do comparables. So theirs is 10 pounds heavier, but trying to do comparables here. $5,174 and 61 cents. So more expensive than single stack, which makes sense. It's got dual stacks, but less than the Rugue FM6 twin stack. The competition is heating up. I could not foresee Rugue selling a product that cheap. Made in the USA with all the knurling, the heavy stack, all that. It's incredible. It's incredible. So they're fighting. And you know who benefits from the innovation from the fighting and the pricing of the fighting? Us. It's awesome. Mr. Nathan asked this question. He said, is the price difference Rugue getting more economical or Rep getting more greedy? Basically, is Rugue decreasing their margins or is Rep increasing their margins? I would say both. Rep's grown as a company. They got more mouths to feed, right? They got a different operation. They're doing some like IP stuff, some really unique stuff, innovating. They got to charge more money. So I would guess that their margins on this have increased. And I would guess that Rugue is going less so they can compete. Because if Rugue came out with their rack and it was $2,000 more, dude, it's gonna be hard to compete, you know? So I love the competition on price and innovation. Man, it's so good for the customer. I'll do a full breakdown in the future when we get them in and tell you exactly which one I think is best for different situations and best for me. But man, I don't think you're gonna go wrong, which is awesome. Let me know in the comments, which one would you or did you choose? I can't wait to see pics of these. I want to see pics of these like I see of your babies. So this has been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time.